What's going on, y'all? It's J Smo Reviews here, back at it again with another video. Happy to say that the rest of the Homecoming 2 card has finally dropped. We talked about each matchup a little bit leading up, and now they've dropped the final 3, filling out the 6 battle card overall. So this is my full prediction video for it. In my opinion, booked up from Homecoming 1, I do think it is a little bit better than the first card. You do get that extra battle, and you get a couple extra names, I think, for star's sake, a little bit of interest. Matchmaking wise, there's things I like, particularly on the top half of the card. When you get more to the undercard, I still think there's names I'm happy to see, but the matchmaking itself will have a little bit of discussion of, because I think there is a couple that have a little bit of a higher risk, you know what I'm saying, in terms of footage quality, battle quality, etc. But without further ado, let's start from the bottom of Homecoming 2. So starting from the bottom of the card, the first matchup to talk about is Shotgun Suge versus Ace Amin. And this one to me is just solid work. It's not great. It's not bad. It's just a matchup that I like and think fills out the card. Neither of them are coming in on the greatest stock, if I got to be honest. Suge is having not a great 2023 to follow his career high 2022, right? Going back to last year, we know all the wins that he had. He was a winning battler for the most part. Voted top 5 on Cody, right? For the best battlers of the year, finished at 4. But since then, since starting with Slade, which was a good battle, Shuni, the 2v2s and 3v3s where he was stumbling, Fonz on SM, tough loss, and then Hansel very recently, in my opinion, another tough loss. You're seeing a lot of things from the older Suge going back before 2022, and some signs that I'm not the biggest fan of. The stumbles, right? Clearly, he's been less clean as of lately, which you could attribute to volume. He's battled the most on URL this year. I believe this will be his 8th battle, leading all URL battlers. Going back last year, I mean, we're combining for nearly 17, 18 URL battles in 2 years, which is just a different level of pace for him. And if it's not the chokes, it's having one great round. Had a great second versus Fonz, great second versus Shuni, great first versus Hansel. What happened the other 2 rounds? A little bit flat, lost momentum, material and pace just aren't as good. And that's something you see more from Suge from like 2016, 2017, 2018, etc. So I could see him kind of returning to form a little bit. 2022 is a big peak, and you have a chance for explosiveness, but in this matchup, it's about having all 3 rounds. It's a big thing for Suge. Can he be competitive across 3 rounds? And as for Ace, I think that he's had a good year. Now, as of recently, he has the TRex and Mook interview didn't go his way, right? They're asking him to rap. He's just looked at the phone. Optically, that's bad. But the bigger worry was the Marv battle where he stumbles, has his own stumbles all through the first and the third, basically gives the battle to Marv. Going in, it's hard to bet on either of them, right? They're not the best going in, but Ace has shown me a lot more through the year. The run battle was good on a big stage, outperformed Suge on that card as well, which is a big reason I'm going to be picking Ace 2-1 to win this battle. And it doesn't mention the Arsenal battle, the Clean battle, the Craig Lamar battle, where he all did good. And all it comes down to is respect for Suge. He is a legend. Obviously more experience on the big stage, so for those that pick him because of the peaks he can have, hell, he could have the best round in this battle and win that round clear, but it's about material across 3 rounds. I think Ace has been competitive. I think he cleans up the stumbles for the bigger moment. This battle might have even played into maybe the prep for that being as bad as it was. And as for Suge, I see this downtrend maybe continuing a little bit longer. I don't know how the fatigue or the motivation changes in any way. He's still battling a shit ton, and I don't think the Ace is nearly the opponents he asked for when the year started, right? The bigger names, the hollows, the easies. So for that, do have Ace Amin winning going in. From there, we have my least favorite matchup on the card, no question, and that is Miss Hustle versus Arsenal. Now listen. I'm sure this wasn't the first battle that was trying to be booked for Miss Hustle, right? It's extremely random on paper, and I'm sure Hustle being on this card is kind of a must, right? Big stage performer, Miss Hustle, New York, it just lines up. It just makes sense. Even with the controversy on her name, people that are mad about that can't be mad at you at all. I think that after the ghostwriting allegations came out, even though there's not the most concrete proof, the way she handled it, the Jack interview, the optics were trash. But then you get Arsenal, who you'd figure after eras of being a legend, probably has rocked New York before, and it just simply isn't the case. The K-Shine footage going back years is not very good. The Ill Will footage, which was shot through like a sweet potato on a much smaller league, is not very good. Briz Ross embodied him in New York. He was on the last Homecoming, and he had the worst battle on the card there. For the most part, whatever reason, as good as Ars is, his inconsistencies really come into play here. He has a really tough time connecting with big New York crowds. Just think it's a weird matchup on paper just to get Hustle on the card. And for me, this is a clear 30 for Miss Hustle going into the event. From there, we get into the final matchup of the new 3 matchups announced. Then we'll rehash the top half of the card a little bit, and that is Swamp versus Lou Castro. Now, I have a lot of thoughts on this because on one side, I'm extremely positive towards it. I love seeing Swamp in these big opportunities. Last year, I think he proved that he can be a cornerstone piece for URL in terms of the guys that you see on the Gnomes and SMs consistently getting big plates. He proved it versus, even though not all of them were humongous plates, in terms of like the card it was on, he goes through the tournament. Suge gets a win there. Ugly win, but a win nonetheless. Rum Nitty, Fire Battle, gets a clear win over Rum Nitty. Gets a clear win over Fawn, someone else that we have a lot of respect for and has had a good trajectory over the last 2 years. Tay-Rock on SM. Even last year, you might not like the footage, but an ugly but clean win over Arsenal on Homecoming. I just think he's proven what he's had to prove versus top tiers. This year, he gets clean, kills him. Stumbles, for whatever reason they booked him versus Stumbles, 30s him. And then you get the Chef Trez battle. He battles finally someone else who's also on his skill level. And what do you know? It's one of the best battles on the league this year. I understand Verb, Cal, Goods, going to RB for Max Out 3. It kind of changed up maybe the way that you wanted to book him, especially the Verb plate. And he has asked for this battle. You know what I'm saying? So I can't put it all on necessarily the league if I don't like the matchup. I like Swamp on big cards and big matchups, but I just think he's a bit of a mismatch for Lou Castro. I know what Lou's potential is on the stage. I know he is an it factor. The connection with the crowd, the slogans, the A big dog, but the results have to go. There's great potential, but when do the results exactly meet up to that? And that's been my big question with Lou. And we're not going to go over all of the Lou, the rough streak, the bad losses. But the truth is he's been bodied nearly, we're getting to like a historical amount. Drugs, Jerry West, even one-rounders like recently versus Big Cannon. Sheed happens when that battle went down. Fonz, you know what I'm saying, going back. You can go to the clear loss versus A-Ward. I mean, you can go all over the place, and it just has been a rough about year and a half, 2 years for Lou Castro, in my opinion. He showed out in the 2-on-2 on Gnome Impact, which I feel like is a big reason he got this plate. It's hard. You can't really necessarily teach guys to be great on the big stage. They can get better, but it has to be something that kind of the talent shows he has the ability of. There's some guys who are great at battle rapping that just can't get it done on a big stage. Lou has shown he has that special ability to do it, the potential to do it, but can he really do it for 3 rounds and make it a competitive battle? I can't bet with him right now because of his recent record. I am going Swamp 2-1 clear, if not a flat out 3-0. I think Swamp is a star player that's not getting used as a star player, and I think Lou is someone that has star potential, but I just don't know if the consistency is going to manifest. Not the happiest with the matchup, but Swamp has asked for this, so I'm expecting a motivated Swamp and probably another dominant and flat-out great performance from him over the last 2 years. And that leaves you with the top half of the card, which clearly is where a lot of this namesake is put together. TRex versus Chess, which we talked about in my last video, the top 5 TRex performances. I do have TRex 2-1 going in. Chess was, I always say I'm not going to bet on Chess. I always say I'm not going to predict Chess. Chess versus Swervo is going down, right? I once again predict Chess. He's clean in the battle. I'm like, he's got to beat Swervo knowing that Rex, like, this could be the difference in him maybe not getting that plate or not. He battles Swervo, he's pretty good, and I still had him losing 2-1 clear to Swervo. I thought Swervo clearly took the second and the third of that battle. Chess, I just think just flat out lost the second. And the third, his third is good, but he takes a lot of time to go address Averb, take some shots at some other people, address some situations, while Swervo is still having a great round and going right at him. I could see Chess somehow being good in this battle and still losing to T-Rex. But even then, T-Rex hasn't proven a lot on a big stage. This battle is a bit of a flight risk. Name-wise, it's good on paper. There's things to be happy about. It's in New York, which gives it the best situation. Obviously, a home game for both, so there's going to be a lot of pride in it, a lot of, hopefully, confidence, you know what I'm saying, and energy. But at the end of the day, it's two guys that, one is Rex, who passed the post-Clips battle in 2014, is just not the same guy he was before that in this stage of his career. You see peaks like Rex, like easy in smaller rooms. To see him do it on a bigger stage for more than one round is the real challenge there. But I'd rather bet on necessarily bad rounds or maybe someone losing momentum and not the material not hitting the same compared to Chess, which is whether it's choking, whether it's throwing up in the beginning, throwing off his momentum going forward. It's just such a pain to get 3 rounds of great chess versus a top tier clean. That just seems so hard. And even though he's clearly more equipped for Rex in modern day battle rap, he's clearly better at modern day battle rap than Rex in terms of just the skill sets, in my opinion. You got to apply those skill sets. And then it's hard for me to say you're better than people. You might be off of pure talent, but if you're not putting that in motion in your performance consistently, similar to Lou Castro, man, I just can't bet on it. So for one of the very few times that maybe the first time in years I've done this, I am predicting Rex 2-1 going in over Chess. Wouldn't surprise me if Chess won clear, but I just have to see him be clean and consistent myself before I can predict him to win that battle. We have Geechee versus Sirius next. A little bit more of a lopsided matchup, right? I think all of us are going to have Geechee for the most part going in 2-1, if not 3-0. I think Sirius, it's not even a matter if I think Sirius is a winner for the most part in his career. Small room, big room. He has good results. I know a lot of people call the Nitty battle his way. It is a judge battle, so it's judge loss for him. I had Nitty as well, but the fact that he made that close, Ill Will on RB had him beating Ill Will. Him and DNA had a good battle on Gnome 5. I mean, him and Clips going back, if we're going all the way back to SN2, obviously had a good stage, a good debatable big stage battle back then. So Sirius has shown enough that I can't count him fully out. He just seems to always make things closer when it's not expected. But Geechee's been rapping motivated. We know what happened with Geechee on last homecoming with the tough loss to Murtoo. So I expect him and Sirius dancing in the background, right? So I expect him to have a little bit of resentment, a little bit of anger towards Sirius. And we're talking about both of them applied raps, taking the battle serious. Even though Sirius is good at sneaking a good result, he just doesn't rap as good or battle rap as good as Geechee Gotti does right now in the modern day climate. So I am going Geechee very clear going into that battle. And that leaves you with the main event, which I've talked about a few times now before and everyone's talked about, but that is Twerk versus Murtoo. And just to keep it very simple, legacy match for both. If Mook beats Twerk, and you could say you beat Twerk, Rock, and Geechee, what more can you say on top of the work that obviously in his era has solidified him? Even with the down battles like Verb and K, I think he still did pretty decent versus Verb, although I did think he clearly lost that battle. He did clearly lose versus K, although he was decent in that battle. But everyone takes losses here and there, right? And I appreciate him being active to the point that he can say he's battled, after years of not battling. You return versus Verb, Big K, Twerk, Rock, Geechee. I appreciate the types of fights that he's taking and in the situations that he is, but it is in New York, so it is going to be pro Mook in that sense. It's as home game as it gets. And as for Twerk, hey, listen, if Twerk wins this, it doesn't make up for all of the chokes, all the things that have happened in his career that were the inconsistencies, but it does feel like it erases a pretty big part of it in a sense, right? Even if that's fair or not fair, he still has beat other great top tiers. Just did a Twerk Golden Years video, talked about him versus JC, him versus Suge, him versus Verb, him versus Rock is on YouTube. Obviously, that's a classic battle. You add a Mook win to that, and those highlights just begin to drown out some of those inconsistencies like it's done in other careers, like with the Sue Surf, you know what I'm saying, for instance. But going in, similar to with Geechee and Sirius, even though in a much higher stakes match, I just think Twerk is better at modern day battle rap. He is a better performer. He is more creative with the wordplay. Whether you want to say he's a better pen or he's a better puncher, I just think he's better at both, making him, in a sense, a better writer. Even he's been getting to his angling bag a little bit, so it's not just build-up haymaker versus someone like Mook, who's a little more strategic, a little more angle-based of a battler, which is probably where the strength, if a Mook win happens, is going to come from. A very well-good executed angle, flipping the crowd on Twerk, just like he did versus Geechee last year, in this same environment, in the same state. But with the way Twerk's been battling, as consistent as he's ever been, who he is on a big stage, and now with a more filled-out game, it's possible for him to lose, right? He's lost big battles before in these situations, small battles before that you wouldn't expect. But I think that he understands the moment. This is as big as it gets, and it could change a lot of how people view his legacy. So I do have Twerk 2-1 going in. Wouldn't be surprised if Mook 1. I do think he's going to do good. I don't think he can not do good in New York, to be honest with you. But I think Twerk is that special where if he's fully applied and focused here, no matter the situation, he can win. And that is my full predictions for the Homecoming 2 card. Like I said, there's matchups I like. Mook and Twerk is obviously box office. I'm excited to see what Geechee does versus Sirius. I'm excited to see what Swamp does versus Lou. I like Suge and Ace, so there's enough there to give it a 7. Not the biggest fan of Hustle versus Arsenal. A little bit worried about Rex, Chess, Lou, a Sirius Jones who hasn't been on a big stage in a minute. So the people that have question marks about this card or a little bit down on it, I can't fully say their mindset doesn't make sense. I think you have flight risk on this card. You would say not a flight risk to show up necessarily, like to make the battle, but a flight risk to complete the footage. But on the flip side of that, there's still legendary names here. It's still a big New York card, so the energy should be good. And for all those reasons, I'm still expecting a pretty solid card. Nothing great, but something that falls in with some of the other just solid URL cards this year. I don't even think, although URLs had a bad year, I don't think every card is just this and that bad. I just think it lacks the explosiveness. They've lacked that standout. This is our best card. This is one of our event of the year contenders. But even without that, 7 out of 10 is still solid, and I think that they close out the year doing pretty good between this and rookies versus sophomores, which my predictions will be out on very soon. But it's been JSmo Reviews again, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you love about what you like the most about Homecoming 2, what you don't like the most, how you feel about the card overall. And I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.